This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by WBC President Mauricio Sulaiman here in the Fury Wilder Free Media Centre. Mauricio, first and foremost, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm very excited, very happy to be back in such a unbelievable event that we're going to have this week.
But everyone always says you can't beat a big heavyweight fight. Just how big is Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder for you, Mauricio?
Well, the second fight was the last huge event worldwide before the pandemic. The first fight, it was a draw. The second fight, Fury knocked them out. Now it's the third fight, and they both really want it. The whole world is watching, and it should be a sensational fight.
Rich, I do want to get your thoughts on today's press conference. Deontay Wilder, throughout the entire pandemic, since his defeat, has continued to allege that Tyson Fury cheated in the second fight. What's your take on his comments?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know how to look into it. I'd rather talk about different things rather than the negative. Wilder lost his title, lost his undefeated status, his 5 years as champion. So it was a very difficult time, and then the pandemic. So I'm not sure. I just prefer to look forward to the great fight.
So you mentioned looking forward towards that a great fight then, Mauricio. What do you expect to see on Saturday night?
I'm anxious to see. We don't know. Everything is uncertain. They've been out of the ring for 20 months, both of them. There has been some the COVID infection, mental health, and how they have handled their life, family problems. So I think they're both very well trained and very much eager to get into the ring. And it should be a sensational fight.
Mauricio, who do you think will have benefited more from the time between the second fight and up until Saturday? Obviously, Deontay's working with Malik Scott now. Tyson's been away with Sugar Hill. He's had a couple of problems with COVID. Unfortunately, his newly born daughter went into hospital, and now she's obviously out and thankfully healthy. But who do you think would have benefited from this extra time?
It depends. They both are mature professionals that they already have the experience. So being outside of the ring, it's basically just the mechanics. I think they have the experience, the will, the preparation to both be in great shape to be in there in the ring and win the fight.
Mauricio, so you've also announced today that the winner of this fight will have to face the winner of Otto Wallin, or Dillian Whyte versus Otto Wallin. Talk to me about that and how you came to that decision to mandate the winner of these two fights to face off.
The WBC has reviewed the heavyweight division. This fight, the first one, took place in February 2020. Dillian Whyte was the mandatory contender. Unfortunately, he was knocked out by Povetkin. Then they had a rematch, and then this fight was going to be. There was anticipation that Fury was going to fight Joshua. Then the legal situation. Now we have this fight, which was postponed, and we decided we were giving 30 days, 1 month to the winner of the fight. If he can land the ultimate unification for the undisputed, the WBC will allow that. If not, then they have to fight the interim champion.
I do want to touch on that because Anthony Joshua has said he will face Alexander Usyk in a rematch next. He has a rematch clause in place. So with that in mind, most likely do you expect to see Dillian Whyte or Otto Wallin rather face the winner of Saturday night's fight?
We will see. That's a ruling. It's out there, and we'll see what happens.
Just moving away from this and onto another fight which is on the horizon. Canelo Caleb Plant, an undisputed bout at 168 this time. How excited are you for that one, Mauricio?
That's a great fight. Canelo put in his mind that he wanted to be undisputed in the super middleweight, and this is the last chapter. So the winner of November 6th will be the undisputed super middleweight champion, and it should be a sensational match. Caleb Plant, he's strong, undefeated, and he can bring a great fight to the table.
We saw a very heated face-off, to say the least, a few weeks ago. What was your take on the events that unfolded on that day?
Well, it was very dangerous. Fighters cannot be left alone in the stage, and when you do a face-off, when two fighters have such a rivalry, it's very dangerous.
When you obviously saw the cut underneath Caleb's eye, did you have any concerns that the fight may have to be pushed back?
They was immediately reported that it was more or less a scratch from the glasses, but that's exactly what could happen. Such an irresponsible matter could have finished that event.
Moving forward once again, Mauricio, I just wanted to get your take on the entire Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr. situation. The fight will now be held by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, but going back through this entire period, the negotiations for that fight, with Teofimo holding the franchise title, the WBC franchise title, what was your take on the entire events that have surrounded that fight up until this point?
Well, we were always attentive. We had prepared when it was time to the supervisors, and we were in communications. But now the fight is off from Thriller, and now it's on with it's a mandatory defense of the IBF. We have been supportive, and we have been respectful, and just following the steps that they have been taken.
Does it raise any further concerns for you with regards to working with new promoters? Obviously, you know, the fight's ending up with Eddie and Matchroom now. They're very well established and they're very well thought of in the boxing world. Triller, new on the block, just trying to kind of make their way through. Does it raise any concerns with them moving forwards because they haven't been able to put the fight on?
Well, it's a huge statement. I am not familiar with any of the details. What I have seen from this company, they did Mike Tyson's exhibition with Roy Jones. Then they did a few shows with Logan Paul and Jake Paul, and the Holyfield horrible situation that we all saw. I hope they turn to the right administration of boxing, because boxing is not a game.
I want to stick with the 135-pound division, Mauricio. Obviously, WBC ordered Ryan Garcia versus Jojo Diaz. Just want to get the latest with that fight, if you have any update for us.
I believe they are very close to reaching an agreement, and we're just waiting for the specific details.
Now, to further kind of press you on that, obviously, Ryan holds the interim title. Jojo holds the interim title. Ryan was the mandatory for Devin. So why did you decide to make a fight between the pair of them to make another mandatory situation to Devin Haney?
Ryan Garcia was the interim champion, and he suffered mental breakdown. He has been in communication with the WBC. We immediately communicated that we will support him, that we were in his corner. So the interim title was fought between Fortuna and Jojo, because things that have been carried on from the past. And when Ryan Garcia notified that he's ready to return, with the WBC complied with its promise to him and ordered him to fight Jojo for the title that he had.
So moving on once again, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the entire Oscar Valdez situation, Mauricio. Obviously, on the back of him testing positive for fentanyl, he was still allowed to defend his title. I just wanted to get your understanding on that entire situation and why you allowed him to do so.
Every time there's a situation with an anti-doping result, when the WBC is notified, we perform a thorough protocol, and every single case is different. So the WBC did the same. We analyzed thoroughly what substance it was, the levels, when, how, what surrounded this situation. And the fact is that fentanyl is not a performance-enhancing drug. It is not of any danger. It was found a month before. There was another test which came negative. We had a thorough investigation with the fighter and his team, and USA authorities had given permission for the fight to proceed. So, to put it in perspective, it's a minor violation, and we took attention into it. Valdez is going to have, and he's already enrolled in a specific testing protocol. for the next 6 months. He's in probation for a year, and he's going to have to perform a certification on certain areas and then do social responsibility work by doing at least 6 performances in front of gymnasiums, kids, or boxing groups to teach them about hydration, about weight management, about substances, and everything that has to do with the concerns of the safety in the sport.
Okay. To continue, just to kind of ask you a few more questions around that entire topic. The WBC obviously invested in the clean boxing program as is seen as a worthwhile to protect the sport and its fighters from doping. The WBC uses VADA for the CBP as it is perceived to be the gold standard of drug testing. So why, when Oscar Valdez did test positive for the banned substance in and out of competition under VADA, did the WBC allow him to keep his title?
Because I just explained, it was not a major offense. And we did respect VADA, so it was a fault that Valdez, because it was a positive testing, and we just went through the protocol. So you can understand, whenever there's a positive, we can make any sort of adjudication. It could be a warning, it could be a penalty, it could be suspension, it could be withdrawing the title, it could be many things. This specific case, fentanyl, we did what I explained. We awarded those penalties to Valdez, so we did attend to VADA, clean boxing program protocol.
The WBC also stated that should Oscar Valdez test positive for any substance, including fentanyl again, he would then be stripped of his title. So why would he have to test positive for a second substance or for fentanyl again instead of having that issue taken upon first time around?
I don't understand.
Okay,
it's obvious. I said it twice already. It was a minor offense.
No, but what I'm asking is, sorry.
It was a minor offense, and we have put him in probation. If he has a failure of any substance, including fentanyl, then it's a second offense, and then it's when we act in a thorough manner.
Well, that was my question. So obviously, with it being in mind, say if he had a second offence, why would it take for him to have a second offence for a punishment to come into place? I know you're saying it's because it's a minor issue this time around, but does it not concern you?
Have you ever been in a school and they give you a report?
Yeah.
What happens when you get the second report? Maybe you get thrown out of the school, or you get thrown out for a week, or there's additional penalties. This is the first penalty. If he happens to do something again, then it's a full stick.
Just final one on it all, Mauricio. Team Valdez initially claimed that the fentanyl was consumed in a green tea. After later on, he claimed that he had no idea where the fentanyl had come from. So, what did the WBC accept as the reason why it ended up in his system?
The fighter is ultimately responsible for whatever is found in his system, so there is no excuse. It could have been what Valdez has told the WBC and the panel which interviewed him, is that he had not taken any other supplements differently from other previous camps other than that tea that he has sent to a lab to be examined. So we're not contesting. As I said, he was found with a penalty that he did of a fentanyl positive, and we addressed it and had that penalty given.
Mauricio, I appreciate your time. We'll leave there now because I know you've got to shoot off. You've got people waiting for you.
Let me just...
Okay.
If you go into a store and you get a candy chocolate and you put it in your pocket and you leave the store, what is that? Stealing. If you go into a bank with a machine gun and you steal, and you take £1 million with heavy aggression, what is that? Stealing. Do you think both deserve the same penalty?
No.
That's exactly how I can explain the fentanyl against a different substance of great danger.
Mauricio, I appreciate your explanations. We will leave there now because I know you've got people waiting to go out with you. I assume you're going to get something to eat now. So it is getting late, but I appreciate your time. Thank you for speaking to me in Boxing Social.
Thank you so very much, and my best regards to the best fans in the world. And Rob, I hope you're doing well, my friend, and the best fans here in the UK. You are unbelievable. Thank you for giving boxing such a great special moments.
Mauricio, thank you.
Thank you very much.